Spring is in the air in Miami. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football, folks. This is what we do on Wednesday nights. You know that, 7 p.m. Eastern time with all of you. So do the good thing. Leave us a like and subscribe, of course. Leave those comments and questions. We are wide open tonight for you to be the producer. Cam Underwood right next to me, of course. stateoftheu.com. Get there every day. This is the time of year to do just that. Cam, how's it going?
Going well, man. Glad to be here. Good to see you guys on a Wednesday evening. So like Mark said, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all those things, so that you don't miss, all of the great content, because, I'm doing even more on here. Already did a couple. I don't know if both of them hit this week, but yeah. So you should lock in on that, and let's get locked in on tonight's show.
I know we've got a commit in the door that you highlighted, of course, and that video is there for everyone to partake in. And then I think you address Miami speed, from what I understand. That one has yet to come out.
Yeah. That's I think that's coming tomorrow. I'm sure that you guys are going to enjoy that one.
Folks, of course, if you can't make it on a Wednesday, or if you're just in a situation where it's better to go the audio route, you can listen to us on your favorite audio platform, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. There's a few others, but those are the major ones. So just click that in, make that an option, as well as we are building out the audio side of things. We've got Falconer TRX here. As usual, appreciate you being here, Falconer. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate your loyalty and support. I didn't realize. Yes, I guess I should have realized. I guess the numbers add up, don't they? National Miami Hurricanes 305 day, 305-25.
That's right, 305, and we live. So, yeah, and Detroit Day coming up in just over a week, 313 for, I celebrate that because I'm from the D. And everything. Chicago Day 312, in case you didn't know, also as well for the original triple OG area codes from those places. But yeah, man, 305 day, had practice today, did the Miami Hurricanes and everything. So yeah, it's a great day. And it's always a great day to be a Miami Hurricane, but especially on 305 day.
Now, of course, Xavier Lucas had quite the circuitous route to Miami. Nothing to do with him, from what we understand, just everything to do with Wisconsin and what they tried to do to hold him to that program. Mm-hmm. But any particular reason why Mr. HD excited about Xavier Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, there have been videos coming out from the first 2 days of practice on Monday and then Wednesday. And today there was video of him just going even through drills. It was like him, Zachariah Poyser, a couple other guys, in the secondary and everything. Just looking good, looking smooth, looking like the elite level athletes that we know them to be. Zachariah Poyser, the transfer from Jacksonville State, a Florida native coming home to play for Miami, freshman All-American, physically imposing. A lot of people were saying like he's just like a little bit of a bigger body than they thought. And then Xavier Lucas, just smooth as can be. Looking great, wearing Miami Hurricanes orange, green, and white. Rocking his classic number 6 jersey from high school. And yeah, so just fitting in exactly as we thought that he would. Big, fast, strong, light on his feet, fluid hips, and everything. Just out there looking like what we want Miami Hurricanes defensive backs to look like. And it's great to see him there doing all of those things, as we know that he withdrew from Wisconsin and enrolled at Miami. And he's out there participating and just looking the part of the blue chip recruit that he was, or ended up being, even though Miami, and including Wisconsin, were on him before he really saw his ascension as a senior. But yeah, man, yeah, we're here. So great to see that.
And as I learned at the time of that transfer, when we highlighted him, you're not going to be wowed by the stat sheet from his freshman season, but if you look a little deeper and start to pull some information, intel, some comments, feedback from opponents, from a lot of folks out there that saw flashes of great athleticism and playmaking ability at Wisconsin last year, and he steamrolled down the stretch and got better and better and better, and more playing time and more flash moments for him.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a kid with a top tier athletic profile. You know, he went to American Heritage, he ran track and everything. So yeah, he wasn't, you know, the best play. He wasn't Travis Hunter at defensive back as a true freshman. Fine, but like, yeah, definitely has everything that you want to develop into a starting level starring player at your program. And I'm very happy that he will be doing that in Coral Gables and not Madison, Wisconsin. So yeah, shout out to you, Xavier Lucas and Mr. HD for mentioning that. Yeah. And honestly, I'm not even sorry to Wisconsin because they tried to violate his rights of movement as a player. And so he did what he had to do. So that's on them. I don't feel sorry.
Yeah, I really don't know why you would want to get out there and do that. This is not the dark ages, and you just build a bad reputation by doing that. And you don't want to keep somebody that doesn't want to be there. You want to be build a reputation for, hey, you know, we wish the man well. Well, you know, obviously, you have the conversations and try to hang on to him. Of course, you go that route. Nothing wrong with that. But when you start to try to get in the young man's way, that's a bit much. Cam posted the video of the offensive tackle commit, the big 6'8" kid out of Ohio. Mr. HD likes that move. I didn't realize I caught much of your segment, Cam, but did not realize we're talking about one of these wrestler types, which of course is a big plus on the defensive line side. The offensive line side, I guess, could also be a plus on that side.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave's here has the question: did Wisconsin drop the case or whatever their complaint against Xavier Lucas? It would be that one. No idea. I looked it up really quickly. I didn't see anything since February 21st. If I go to news, I just see from a month ago. So I haven't seen any update to that, that it's been, you know, withdrawn or dropped or whatever. So we'll see. But again, you know, even when the NCAA came out and made the statement, yeah, there is no rule precluding any student from withdrawing from institution A and then transferring to institution B and competing in interscholastic athletics. So, you know, hey, whatever.
We also want everyone to know, here's something to look out for concerning us right here at the Voice of College Football and how you can get involved possibly, or maybe connect us with somebody because your business, your product, your service, personal brand. So keep that in mind in this day and age. That's ever more important than it's ever been. Get it to the next level by partnering with the Voice of College Football. We can discuss with you how you can also reach your target audience. Contact us at sponsorships at vocfb.com. That's sponsorships at vocfb.com. In particular, I failed to get to the to that little gem right there. So just to let you know, there's a good endorsement right there from Win Agency on the Michigan channel. We did them a good spot during football season, and they're back with us this spring because they enjoyed the partnership, and we boosted their social media and other presence online. So they certainly saw how they benefited. So you may as well. So once again, sponsorships at vocfb.com, highlighting, of course, here our Miami show. Well, we could probably circle back with some other stuff, Cam, and go to 2020, unless you want to dive into something else.
Yeah, I cut off Mr. HD and everything. I did want to circle back on Ben CONGDON, our most recent commit to the University of Miami on Monday. Yeah, this is a kid who, you know, when I was looking at the numbers in this class, I definitely wanted offensive line to be a focus because we're phasing out that class from 3 years ago. You know, like Francis Mawinoa is a junior, you know, Samson Okunlola still working his way in, probably not even going to start because you got Markel Bell, but then he'll be a third-year player going into his fourth year. Does he stick around? Does he not? going forward, all these different kind of things. So, when you look at the future of the offensive line, getting somebody like Ben Congdon is huge. Yeah, he's 6'8", state championship wrestler. And I believe, to your earlier point, it is helpful on both offensive and defensive lines because you're using, it's functional strength, it's balance, it's, movement in the different kinds of ways where you're dictating where your opponent goes, but also then reacting to where your opponent goes in just a mano kind of way. And this is a kid who, Miami's been after very strongly. Cristobal and Mirabal have visited him up in, was it Zora? Some weird something.
I've never heard of that town. Either pronounced Zorville or Zoarville.
No. It's like it's a 4-letter. Hold on. Let me go into the Welcome to the U that I wrote from Zor, Zoar, Tuscarawas Valley High School. You know what? Again, I always say
I have an idea where Tuscarawas Valley is.
Where in the world it is?
Zor.
South of Canton.
Yeah. I know where Tuscarawas Valley is.
Yeah, so Canton and Massillon over there, and then straight south off of 77-ish.
77. Good old 77. And it's Massillon. You don't need to accentuate the O-N.
Oh, I had heard it. Maybe it was my Midwestern accent or one of somebody else that I'd heard before said it as Massillon. But anyways, yeah. He's from up there. And look, Penn State was strongly going after Ben Congdon. It's probably your head-to-head win there. He's probably still going to take an official visit to Happy Valley and has an official visit forthcoming to Miami. This was his second unofficial visit, which I always say is really a prerequisite, especially if you're going for a blue chip, if not 5-star talents from other places. You need to get them on campus at their own expense multiple times. It's, great because we're in Miami. So, look, you just fly into Miami International, hop on Lejeune, go south and a little bit west. Boom, you're on campus. You're not twisting people's arms really to get them to come down from the Midwest to Miami on spring break for a few days. But yeah, getting Ben Congdon, I think, is a really big get. And he's himself, in like his interviews with On3 and 247 after he committed, saying, he knows that he's not Miami starting caliber right now, but taking into account his physicality and the trajectory of his skill development, going to a place where he will continue to be developed to get to the level that he desires, right? And has close relationships with the Miami staff that have really been pursuing him hard and everything. So very excited to get him in here. Probably a right tackle, not a left tackle at the next level unless he really, really, really develops strongly. So if you're thinking, he would block the Cantwell kid from Missouri at left tackle, no. Plus, hey, you got to play them both. Like, right tackle is still a premium position, even if it's not the most premium position at left tackle. So, really, really excited to get him. 4 commits in the class now: Jordan Campbell, Darion Coleman, Camden Portis, yes, son of Clinton Portis, and now Ben Congdon in this class. So the first domino on the offensive line, we're going after many more guys like Kenny Pepe from IMG, Jackson Cantwell, the number 1 player in America at left tackle. Those are 2 really premium linemen in addition that we're going to go after. So, and it's good to see the momentum of a commitment. I don't need the class to be finished now in March, but I love the fact that getting Ben Congdon is a positive step. He himself, Congdon, has hopped on Twitter extensively, I guess, in the last couple of days, saying that he wants to be a lead recruiter for this class. He's going to go out there and, saying who he wants to come join him, and things like that. So he's been very, very vocal along those lines, which you love to see. Max Buchanan did that last year, the offensive lineman from the Orlando area, Sanford Seminole, and others. So, yeah, getting Ben Congdon is great. Would love to see more, guys hop in the boat, but I'm not really going too hard on that right now at this time. But yeah, I think that that's a solid get. To Dave's point, he is from Ohio, no Ohio State or Michigan. They were kicking the tires, but it was really Penn State and Miami who were on the gas for Ben Congdon. So I don't know what or why that is. But oh Lord, Chi-Town came. This is going to be the one. I said it on Twitter. I don't know if you see that, Mark. The last one, I'll put it up.
I see it, but
okay.
I have no idea what we're dealing with here.
Right. So, I mean, this is another recruiting topic. But with Derek Cooper tweeting what he tweeted, Miami better not let him leave, him and Calvin Russell. So Derek Cooper tweeted out a picture of him in young optimist jersey that was a Hurricanes jersey throwing up the U. I mean, he was doing it this way because he was little. But basically, do I have that? Did I save that? Let me go look so I can quote it, say it properly. But what I did say is after that, if he doesn't sign with Miami, like opposing fans of every walk of life, even if they're not the team that ends up signing him, are never going to let Miami live that down. Like this is, I'm trying to go where my Twitter is not low. Here it is. Yeah. It's just eye emojis, but it says since day one, and it's him in like an edit, but then he's got to be 5'4". Like this is like that one. There you go. You know, like if you look at that, man, like, you know, in the picture of him from, you know, such a young optimist, you know, level where, you know, because there are the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, which is a very known optimist level team down here and everything. And yeah, it's just, even without saying anything, you know, a picture says 1,000 words. So were he to go somewhere else, then being like, oh, since day one, it's just like, you're just being able to open the door to negative recruiting. And then, yeah, Calvin Russell as well, the wide receiver from Miami Northwestern. He did not tweet this, but it just goes along those same lines of being able to lock down the elite players locally, starting from the top of the list, not just getting, you know, getting blue chippers and everything. Like, that's fine. That's great. You know, you need a lot of guys, but you just cannot always abdicate the top superstars from the list elsewhere and then take good players, but you need transformational players. And I think that Derek Cooper can potentially be one of those. So, yeah, that would be an interesting thing in light of that, were he to decide to go somewhere else, which is potentially possible, obviously, because, you know, recruiting is weird. And also, like, there are a lot of running backs that Miami's chasing right now. Like, there's last name Aki, AKIH. He's from Ohio or Georgia. There's a kid who's probably going to go to Georgia that I think we're bringing in for an official visit. There's Javian Mallory from West Boca. West Boca kind of being like to the South Florida area what West Bloomfield was when I was up there, where like there were very few people of color, and then all of a sudden you get like Donovan Edwards and goes to Michigan from there. Like, you know, and like West Bloomfield was the dregs of the earth athletically when I was coming up, and all of a sudden you got guys going to Michigan and starring in championship games and things like that. Same thing at West Boca, but it's like, how many running backs can you take? And I know that we lost a few and everything, and like maybe other ones could, you know, cycle their way out. But yeah, just interesting as things go and things start. Yeah, you know, the list of visits is impressive. The list of official visits forthcoming, also super duper impressive. I think that, you know, the Ben Congdon commit is a solid stand-up double to the gap, as I'm playing some MLB 24 Road to the Show just before I came on here. Like, yeah, square that up, you know, when shopping, cool, stand-up double. I'm waiting for some of those third deck grand slams. But we have plenty of the players who could be that visiting. Miami just needs to close.
All right. We will continue the recruiting talk as long as you guys want to. Of course, leave your
Well,
comments and questions there in the chat. You like this last one about the quarterback, Darian Coleman?
yeah, I don't know if I fully agree, but yeah, there's been like the minor tweak re-rankings for 24/7 and on 3 Sports in the like this week. And Darian Coleman, Miami's commit from Orlando Jones, is not a top 10 quarterback in the country, but like was the MVP at of most recent 7-on-7 tournament, where like a lot of the national recruiting scouting pundits were. So I see like, yeah, there is a little bit of rage there. I think in the end, do you like the player or do you don't? You know what I mean? Like, it feels good to say we got 5-star here, 5-star there, in the eyes of others. If you like the players that you get, you don't necessarily need that, right? And Darian Coleman, I believe, is that kind of a guy, just like Luke Nickel before, you know? And I think in the end, the final ratings are the most accurate, the final rankings. Now, they're not perfect. I think that they're more accurate. And I believe that Darian Coleman is going to work his way up. I think, you know, it is interesting that both 24/7 and on 3 Sports are setting like a bar. So, like, the players at the top would have to do something super ridiculous to drop, whereas those who are not at that height, they have to like claw their way out from the pits of Mordor or something. But I believe that Darian Coleman is that kind of a player who can do that. He does have the talent. The thing also is, if you're looking at overall projection, right, there is going to be a conversation about the fact that he's 6'1.5" tall, 180 pounds. Like, say what you want to say. That's not a typical physical profile for a very highly 4-star, 5-star rated quarterback recruit. They are few and far between. It's been like Kyler Murray, who was way stockier than that and had been starting since his freshman year at Allen and rewrote every record in the state of Texas, and Bryce Young. Really, you know, Tua was still stockier and he rewrote all the records in Hawaii, but he wasn't even, you know, as highly rated. But he was more physical. All of them, except for Bryce Young, were more physically developed. And as you're projecting things forward, that is a part of the conversation. Like it, love it, hate it, whatever. I'm just letting you know that it is, right? So I get the vitriol that people are having about what they view as a low ranking for Darian Coleman. I also agree that I think that he is firmly in the top 10 quarterbacks for this cycle, but I'm not ignorant to the fact that if that there are points of contention that exist where other people taking a different viewpoint might ding him more, especially from the physical build standpoint, which is like it's really hard to go on a limb for such an outlier from a physical standpoint, such as Darian Coleman. So I think that he should be at a minimum in the top 15. I think in that top 10, I'm pretty sure he's going to go to the Elite 11 and finish in the top half. Like, this is a kid who, like, he throws dimes, guys, but he's physically small, you know. And yeah, I just think that there are, if you're looking for things to hate on, unfortunately, there are some of those things where they can, you know, oh, you didn't dot that I, oh, you didn't cross that T, oh, you know, this is a comma splice, oh, whatever, you know, kind of thing where, you know, you can still get a 91A, but it might not be that 99 or 100 because, you know, nitpicking different parts of things.
I'm late to the party here, but I was just curious about his ranking there. So he's a top 200 guy, top 20 quarterback. So that's top 20, 247, top 15. Yeah. overall composite. So somebody likes him in the top 10.
Right. I think that that's fair at 13-ish in the composite. I think in the state of Florida, 29, I would need to see the entire list, but I do expect that he would elevate from that. The 195 in the country, I think you can elevate a little bit from that. Looking at the composite rankings, which is what I've always looked at for 15 years, guys. So, or 13, however long they've been doing it. But yeah, so as to see consistency from class to class, I think he can get up into top 175, top 150, maybe even higher. But again, you're small and slight. I know he has this like lithe, wiry build where you can see that he's like developed his body and is stronger now than he was this time a year ago, which also you would expect going from being a high school sophomore to a current high school junior as of today. You know what I mean? It's fair that he developed his body a little bit and that wiry strength is there. But yeah, there are those things that are a little bit of a question mark. For his overall profile.
Paolo's showing up. Appreciate you being here. With how underwhelming the incoming class was, do you think there was a shift with how they're recruiting this cycle given last season's success?
Absolutely. We are like Miami's pushing for so many top end players. Major 4 stars, major 5 stars, getting them on campus for unofficial visits, already scheduling out so many official visits. Excuse me, someone in my eye randomly. But yeah, it's different. We're seeing a little bit of bleed over in a positive way from the 24 season into the year 2025 for the 2026 recruiting class. Tristan Key is the number 1 receiver in America. He was on campus on Monday. He went on to the Canes Insight podcast because they have a studio down there, or they're allowed to use Miami studio, whatever. Anyway, but he went on with their hosts and he was talking about, the number 1 offense and seeing what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the number 1 offense was from last year, right? It's not here because everybody's new, basically, except for, 2, 3 offensive linemen, depending on how you want to count it. If you put a half between Markel Bell, Matthew McCoy, and then the right side of Cooper and Maui Noah, they're returning. And then, it's a little bit, but for the fact that he referenced it so many times in that conversation of like, yeah, Miami had the number 1 offense, and that's what drew me down here. And I want to see that. Like, you're seeing that connection from the success on field last year to this future recruiting class. Also, yeah, just the way that they're doing things internally. Like, there's been multiple hires, turnover in the recruiting department. So like the way that they're messaging things, the way that they're operating visits, the timing of the visits, the scheduling of the communication and everything, it's just not like good enough is not good enough. You know what I mean? Shout out to Dr. David Robinson from when I was in high school at Cranbrook. The chaplain who taught the religion classes had a poster in his room, and I've said it on here before: good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. That's what Miami is on in the world of recruiting, because I think that the finish for last class was super duper pathetic. I think that overall it was fine, but yeah, underwhelming. But they are doing things differently, because if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. And they've hired new people, and they're taking even the people who are returning, taking a different look, and because this is what you always have to do. Hey, we did things this way. This is what we got. How can we update this in a positive direction? And I think that they're on the way to doing that. So yeah, this is definitely born out of the results from last season.
Do we know anything about Grant Wise's son, Ty Wise, offensive lineman, who obviously would be added to the great wall of Mirabal, according to Mr. No, this is
I see
J Mill 53.
He's on a roster. number 64. I see a linebacker. I don't know. I would have to look. Or is it Grant Wise is the okay? Hold on. Yeah, sorry, you said it backwards. As I was saying. So Grant Wise from Pace, the 6'3", 310. He's being recruited by a lot of big teams, it seems, including Miami, Alabama, Clemson, Oregon, Tennessee. 6'3", 310, number 14 interior lineman in the country, 206 on the composite. At first glance, absolutely. I would have to look. He's playing right tackle in this clip. GT counter. Ooh, okay. Look, one clip into his highlight that's on his 247 sports page. I'm with it. So I would have to really, really drill down to like no more. But a 4-star lineman with good size, and obviously great pedigree. I would be with that, but I will have to look further to integrate more, about him. But I believe I've seen that name from a visit already this cycle. But yeah, and look, offensive line is a thing where you can have 6 players, 7 players, even in the same recruiting class. So again, Ben Congdon and or anybody else will not, preclude Miami from going after Mr. Wise. So, and we need guards. So yeah, I'm with it.
And our buddy James Scott, yes, reminding everyone, please do hit the like button. You can't do that enough. Of course, you only get one per, but don't let that slip because, yeah, the algorithm here on YouTube kind of works against the college football content creator this time of year. So they know seasons and so forth. We have to slug it out here in February and March. Maybe we'll kick it in April. They'll recognize, but yeah, so it's a grind against the YouTube algorithm this time of year. So James Scott, thank you so much. It's a grassroots effort here, folks. So bring a friend or 2 or 50 with you to these shows as well.
Before you go on, right above Paulo's super chat, there's one from S. Thorne. Thoughts on the combine? I think that it went well for the Miami Hurricanes in general. Selfishly, I wanted Cam Ward to work out. I completely and totally support and understand why he didn't. Because you're king of the hill. Like, the only thing you can do is hurt your prospects if you go out there and don't perform. And I'm not saying that I think that he would have, but I get it. I think that the other players at quarterback really did themselves a disservice, with the exception of Jackson Dart, really. Will Howard couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in the drills on air, which was, I saw so many people, oh my God, how do they win a championship? And da-da-da-da-da. But he made plays when the pads were on. But like when he was really testing that accuracy, it was lacking, which also kind of goes to show, like, why Jeremiah Smith and others were like jumping over dudes to go catch balls, because they weren't always super accurately thrown. Jalen Milroe, I thought, was really, really, really poor. And I think it was the stupidest decision ever for him not to do athletic testing. His best trait is his athleticism, and to not, I'm not saying go and work out at running back or receiver, but like to not run, not jump, not do I thought that was really, really stupid. But getting back to the Miami Hurricanes, Tyler Barron, I think, made himself some money. He showed very well athletically, had a very high relative athletic score. When you take into account all the testing and drills. Sam Brown showed real explosive athleticism. Jacoby George, I think, did really well. Xavier Restrepo did really well, especially in the on-field, route drills and the gauntlet drill and things like that. I think that he did really well. Damian Martinez running 4.51, which is 3/100ths of a second off the average of the speed of the running backs in this class at 4.48. I thought that was really huge. He said that he was going out there to bet on himself and showcase that he has better athleticism than people thought, and he did it. Whereas, which was the receiver from Texas who talked that big game about breaking the 40-yard record and then was 2/10 off of it? Like
Matthew Golden?
No, the other one. Golden did really well. There was another one.
Who would that have been? That would have been.
Anyways, whoever it was, Talk Cash Noise said that he was going to break the record for the 40-yard dash and subsequently ran like a 4.4 flat. Yikes. Which is super fast. I'm just saying in comparison to what he said he was going to do, saying I'm running 4.17, maybe down to 4.15. Like it is what it is. And then you run 4.4 flat, and then your teammate Golden ran like low 4.3s. You got other dudes running in the 4.2s. Yeah, that's rough. Miami didn't have that. Damian Martinez said, I'm going to prove to people that I can move, and did. I was really excited. That second run was great because he ran 4.59 in the first one, ran 4.51 in the second one. I said, there we go, make that money. The two drawbacks I would say from the combine. Number one, I've already said, selfishly, I wanted Cam Ward to participate because he would have put on a show, even on air with receivers he didn't know. I know that he would have just been dotting it up. The other thing that's my drawback from the combine was the fact that Elijah Arroyo, with his knee tweak from the Senior Bowl, did not participate. It was super duper duper there for him to go make a lot of money because a lot of the tight end prospects tested poorly athletically. And there were a number of people, who like work in analytics and, on social media, Math Bomb, PFF guys. And they're saying, there's a super high correlation to being a physical outlier athlete and on-field success, specifically at offensive tackle and at tight end. Like the correlation is very close there. And so many tight ends tested as average athletes. And I know for a fact Elijah Arroyo, had he been fully healthy to participate and perform, he would have shot up those draft boards, man. He would have been, more people than the couple that I've seen would have been talking about him even in that 31 range going to Kansas City or whatever. I don't think he's going to go that high, but like the doors were wide open for him to just, just like come screaming through there and be like, hey guys, my name's Elijah Arroyo. I played at the University of Miami, and you should be looking at me in the top 50 because I am, bigger, faster, stronger. I jump higher. I lift weight, I put up the 225 so many times. Like the fact of him not participating was really, it was a missed opportunity. And I get why, because if you're not 100% healthy, you should not participate. Absolutely. Especially, this is your livelihood as an athlete. He will be participating at the on-campus pro day on the 24th and everything. And Elijah Arroyo did himself say, if there was a game to play that last weekend, he would have played. But when you get one, maybe two opportunities to do a drill to be evaluated as like a top level part of your resume application for one of these few jobs in the National Football League, I completely and totally understand why he sat out. But that was the fact that he was not able to participate was a big negative for me.
We can run through some names here if you'd like. Will Ray break out this year?
We'll see. That's Ray Joseph, the slot receiver. Malachi Tony is getting more and more rave reviews every single day. Malachi Tony is not just obligating that slot position is going to be Ray Joseph starting in front of him. It's going to be a battle, and we'll see. I would love to see it. But also I think that, I just need to see him in space, and I need to see that explosiveness that we were all expecting when he came to the University of Miami, because there have been very few times that players who have come to the University of Miami specifically to add speed to the roster have been able to do that in recent years.
As Chi-Town is pointing out, Amari Wallace gets a prime legendary epic number assignment.
Yeah. I don't feel great about it, to be honest. And I tweeted it. Amari Wallace from Miami Central is wearing number 26 and playing safety for the University of Miami. That's a lot. That's a whole lot to put on anybody. Gervin Hall was the last defensive back to wear 26. And his career was middling, very, very middling. I'm very happy that Amari Wallace is on the field and participating. He had a gruesome injury as a senior, missed his entire senior season. And luckily, I guess it was just only a bone break. He's out there, no non-contact. He's full participation in all the drills and everything. I think that is great, and I want to see him, do well. I just personally, I think it's a lot for him to have the number 26. I hope that it works out, but it just, to me, I don't know. But hey, look, you got to use the numbers. There's nobody wearing number 1 on either side of the ball, and also numbers that were retired are not staying retired. Like what's his name? Artavis Jones is wearing number 42, which has been retired for Jim Dooley. So he wore it as a redshirt freshman. He's wearing it again. And then you got Brock Schott and Popo Aguirre wearing number 10, which was retired for Jim Myra Sr. Like, those are numbers that have been retired. Like, retired. Like, there's 4 of them in the University of Miami, right? It's 10, 42, 89, and I forget the 4, but like there's 4 numbers that have been retired, and then 14 for Testaverde. But then, like, I just look up, see the roster list. It's like, oh, there's 2 players wearing number 10, there's somebody wearing number 42, and I'm like, what? It's not even like, because there's umpteen guys who are in the Ring of Honor. We know that. But if you go on the University of Miami website, it's clear as day. Like, this number has been retired when we did the number countdown of days until kickoff, when we did the jersey numbers and everything, that was assigning, okay, you need to write the profile on insert player here because their number's been retired. But I don't know, Mario Cristobal said, hey, we use, I mean, I get it, you got to use the numbers because of, just rosters and things. But I mean, like, you're also giving good numbers to walk-ons. And they could be a double number. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could do some of those things, but that's my personal feeling about it. Maybe I'm, get off your lawn, grandpa, with that, but whatever.
Before we take a trip down memory lane, just a few years back, we'll take a big trip down memory lane. Disputed National Champions. That's my book, 1990s Historical Reset. Obviously, a ton of Miami narrative in here, so check it out. And it's not just a history book. We take each season, we project it toward the future playoff systems and have a lot of fun with that. The links in the description section. Falconer TRX, any smoke about Miami leaving the ACC?
See, this is interesting because the ACC finally settled their litigation with Clemson and Florida State, which, if you remember, Miami and Dan Radakovich was the first person in school to actually put something out there along this, about like the media rights and and basically put a battery up the back of Clemson and Florida State and let them do the dirty work. Like, hey, y'all pay all the money, y'all get the negative press, y'all do all the stuff, and at the end, we get what the number is to get out of the ACC and the timeline of what those numbers look like as they decrease, but we get none of the blowback. And yeah, like, I think that, Miami and North Carolina are the 2 schools who greatly benefited from the resolution and the publishing of the resolution, because those are all public institutions and a public entity. So, like, the details have to be, put out publicly. So, like, yeah, we get the desired outcome of knowing what the structures are and the timeline is without having done the dirty work. It's, I believe, too soon for there to be any real smoke about any of the teams leaving the ACC. I glanced at the thing. I didn't read it fully, but you're looking in many years, right? Because you want the buyout to get lower than it is. And everything, and also have a firm landing spot, have a firm number, and like TV networks, they're not going to renegotiate their current things, their current media rights deals mid-cycle, So I think it's a little premature for that. I think that definitely with the resolution of the litigation between the two schools in the ACC, it does put a ticking clock on, I think, just the remainder of the ACC in general. Like, I think by 2030, when the numbers to leave the conference drop precipitously to a very nominal, like you're talking fewer than 100 million, fewer. I think it's fewer than like 75 million to get out and retain your individual school media rights to then sell. I think that, so we're on a ticking clock for a few years. So maybe not smoke right now, but just logically, like, playing the chess out going forward, like, I would be real surprised if Miami were to stick around.
Just to put some dates to what Cam is laying out there, 2030-31 is the Big Ten deal. I know the Big 12 is not a desired destination, but they're in the same range too. I don't know where the SEC lands in regards to when a contract, media rights contract, ends. And that's the breaking point, as Cam is talking about, in regards to it being very it not being logistically beneficial to anybody to try to cut up and dice up a current contract and determine, okay, if we fit Florida State, Miami, whomever into a current deal, what does that do? And that is very unlikely to happen, that the TV rights and all of those people involved are going to do that. So you're looking at the end of these TV contracts. And then to put a number to that in regards to the buyout, $165 million is the current ACC exit fee that's been lowered significantly. And then it goes down about $18 million per year. And then it flattens at like $75 million. And then that would be based on the elevation to a Big Ten or SEC is very manageable to pay the 75, get out, and go jump to the Big Ten or the SEC. You want more on that? From my perspective, I went through the articles the other day, so you can check those out on the main channel. And I actually reposted it on Clemson and Florida State in terms of how I see this thing going or what the possibilities are. Falconer, we just need to use fractions like 26.5.
I mean, they do that with the baseball mascot, the Miami Maniac. I think his jersey number is 1.5. So maybe we do that in football. Who knows?
Do we try to dive into 2020 or push that off a week?
Let's get it.
There we go.
And also, as Marcus pulling that up, Falconer and I think others saying that JoJo Trader getting positive reviews from the first 2 days of spring practice. Yes, indeed, he is. I think that a couple tweets I saw were maybe a little aggressive along that path, but we shall see.
So here it is, 2020, Manny Diaz, right in the middle of his tenure, number 11 class, according to 247. We see the transfer rank. We're just dealing with the high school signees. And here we go from the top.
My guy, Donald Chaney Jr. Yeah, my guy, Donald Chaney Jr. from Belen Jesuit, the best running back in Dade County that year. I know people were talking about Henry Parrish from Columbus, but, Miami did well there. Battled some injuries and inconsistency. He was down against Georgia Tech. It was clear as freaking day, but whatever. But overall, I would say average career here. Return on investment in terms of recruiting, resources, I would say probably a little underwater on that, just because he didn't really have that big of an impact. But that was a big recruiting win at the time to get him. Yeah, best year as a freshman. Well, sorry. And then, 2 years basically missed with injury. Comes back in 23, has a solid year, transfers to Louisville. So, yeah, he was fine, but nothing special.
Next up, we've got Chance Williams.
Chance Williams, the defensive end. Yeah, he, another good get in this class. He and his teammate, who we'll see later on this list. But, like Donald Chaney Jr., didn't really do too much here at the University of Miami. Another one where I think that the resources kind of outweighed the production from him and everything. Ended up transferring to UCF and did okay, I believe, or did pretty well. Oh, Charlotte. Excuse me, that's where he went. But yeah, rotational guy, for 3 years. And then, played fairly well. 7 TFLs and 4 sacks for Charlotte. Decent. But, for a 4-star at the top of your list from the state of Florida, you expect more. Like, just plain and simple with that. Next, Avante Williams. This is the name I was trying to find the other week. Cousin of Lorenzo Lingard. Famously chose Miami over Florida. They had Tay Day with the orange and blue cookie cake and all kinds of stuff where they were preparing to celebrate him picking Florida. And he did no such thing. Paulo in the chat thought Avante Williams was going to be the next great safety. You and I both. Slow Down Boy 7 was his Twitter account because he was very, very fast, which was and why I was trying to recall him, because he's a player who was known for his speed. And he was. He played well, if I remember correctly. He started well as a freshman, had interception, and then rotationally as a sophomore, and then transferred out. Went to Maryland, played a handful of games, and nothing since then. So another one that, big win on the trail, big loss for the fact that he didn't do much on the roster. So the top 3 on here, big wins, didn't really get anything. Jalen Knighton from Deerfield Beach, one of 2 Broward County backs ever to run for more than 5,000 yards in their career, being him and Tyrone Moss from Pompano Beach, Ely, God rest his soul. Huge win again, and did really well to start with, but struggled with consistency, struggled with off the field issues and things like that continue to get him suspended. And then left to, as everybody knows, SMU, where he really stood out in 23, and then basically did nothing in 24 because Brashard Smith was there and was the better version of Jalen Knighton from, as a speed back, as a receiver out of the backfield, is everything. And he was good in the rotational role at Miami, especially in 21. But I wanted a little bit more from him. That's just kind of the story of the class.
So Cam, for especially the 2 running backs, because it's easy to go, okay, stats, that's who they are, running backs. Those are nice little careers if they're 3 stars, if they're high 3 stars. But at this place on the board, those are pretty disappointing returns.
Yeah, those are both top 5 players in this class. Jalen Knighton, 5,000 career yards rushing in high school. Again, one of only 2 Broward County backs ever to do that. You're expecting superstar stuff, and we just didn't get it. Jalen Rivers, the teammate of Chance Williams from Orange Park Oakleaf. That's a win. It was a big win to get him and his teammate. And this is somebody who played here, was here for 5 years, came in, he was listed as a guard, played guard and played tackle, didn't really test well athletically at the combine, and in comparison to tackles was really on the 40th percentile, so not great. I think that he profiles as a guard at the next level, but was able to be flexible and versatile here at the University of Miami. And I think that we got out of him everything that was there to get out of him. So that's a win, definitely, and a great recruit get. Marcus Clark from Winter Park. Yeah, that's an L. 4-star, quote unquote, defensive back who didn't really do anything. I mean, he played well in 21 as a rotational guy, but then he leaves and he goes to Missouri and was a rotational guy there. And yeah, but you just again, we're still in like the top handful. Well, outside, we're top 7 guys in recruiting class. You're not expecting a guy at the top of your recruiting class to do basically nothing here and then transfer out somewhere else. Just putting it like it is. And that's really what we got from Marcus Clark. So, yeah, that's another L. Chi-Town Kane, interesting. Keyshawn Smith, my dude, they went back and bumped up his rating after this cycle because, or like rare at the end. But from San Diego Lincoln, he was like, he was going to go somewhere and then drop that commitment and flip to Miami and flew cross country like the Monday before the end of registration, showed up like bright and early at the registrar's office at 7 a.m. that Tuesday, registered on the last day you could for spring and everything. He had a kickoff return for a touchdown as well. In 21, stepped into a bigger role. Obviously, you see the numbers there. Cool. I was really, expecting some stuff. Battled a couple injuries, but 22 obviously fell off. And then, like so many, was one of those SMU Hurricanes, transferred to SMU, went to Dallas, and fashioned himself 2 really good years as like a number 3-4 option. So yeah, would have liked a little bit more, but in the end, for somebody who was like a high 3-star, low 4-star at the end of the high school recruiting cycle, I think that he delivered overall what was there to be delivered. I think that would have liked more of that to have been at the University of Miami. Michael Redding III, the very, very smart guy who wanted to do aerospace engineering. So I believe his final 2 were Purdue and Miami, specifically for that program. But never really fashioned himself into a player at the University of Miami. You see the stats there. 2022, 15 catches for 217 and a tud was basically the entirety of his production. And then I believe he had to medically retire because of a neck issue. So yeah, that's another 4-star who didn't really live up to it and was like an All-American and everything. So yeah, man, not super great. As we continue, Isaiah Dunson, big corner from Georgia, played rotationally, had a knee and then knee injury and then left. Again, another 4-star. This is the annual late cycle 4-star flip, I believe. I mean, like, you're talking, what's that? 15, 20 games, the 14 tackles in 20 games at Miami. Oh, there is the second line there. Yeah. As I was doing my head, and 1 PBU, like, for a 4-star, like, buddy, what are we talking about? Transfers to Baylor and then does basically nothing, and then didn't even play or isn't listed as having a stat anywhere last year. Yep, that's another major L. So don't love that. Jalen Harrell from Champagnat, the safety, not the wide receiver of the same name. He's another guy who was a big get, 6'2", 180. You would have thought that he was going to work his way into the rotation at defensive back and did no such thing. 7 games, 4 tackles in Miami, and then transferred to UMass, where he actually had a pretty decent year last year in 8 games. I don't know if he got injured. I don't know anything else for only why he played in only 8 games. But yeah, if you're going and playing at the likes of UMass, leaving from Miami, that speaks to the lack of quality, which then speaks to the negative return on investment from a 4-star recruit. Elijah Roberts, one of the many, many SMU Hurricanes, started here, got injured, didn't really work his way up to the top of the rotation, had like shoulder issues that were nagging, transfers there, and I believe it was like first team all conference this past year. And like you just see the numbers when he got to SMU explode. 37 tackles, 13 TFLs, 10 sacks in 23, 11 TFLs, 7.5 sacks this year, like 2 forced fumbles each year. Like, yeah, this is a guy who, finally was able to tap into his talent, getting healthy. It just so happened to be somewhere else. So again, like, I think that the last 2 years is more indicative of the talent that he had and what we wanted and hoped for from Elijah Roberts. It just happened wearing another team's jersey. So again, good career in the end once he finally got healthy, good output. And I mean, yeah, like first, second team all conference. Love that for him. Would have loved it if it was at Miami. Brian Balaam, my former student from my last year teaching at Miramar. As y'all know, he was in my study hall as an IB kid and also taught his brother years prior. Was thrust into action as a true freshman at Clemson when somebody got ejected from a game in 2020. And yeah, that was like the most that he played on specials and everything. And then was just kind of like a fringe special teams, good roster kind of a guy. Would have liked to have more from him. But he was a little limited athletically, truthfully. And I think that kind of showed itself to be true. And, then you have 28 games and fewer than that number of tackles. I believe he got a University of Miami degree, which is what he always, like from the first time I met him, what he wanted. So, I think it's great. And again, I have the personal connection to him, so love seeing that on the football field. Left something to be desired. Tyreek Austin Cave, the linebacker from New Jersey, came down, played a handful of snaps, I believe, and then immediately transferred back up north somewhere. A decent get in the recruiting world, but wasn't a world beater or anything. Excuse me. Yeah, here for 2 years, West Virginia for 2, and then New Mexico, and basically didn't play in his last 2 years. So, again, the output of recruiting resources far outweighed the return. Quentin Williams was here for a year and then left, went to Marshall, I believe. His dad was a big Miami Hurricane fan, and I remember when he committed, and everything, he was talking about being so happy that his son was going to Miami and all that stuff, but he didn't ever do anything. So, yeah.
And apparently never played anywhere else, according to his stat line here.
I know he transferred to Marshall. He might not have played, but that is where he went. I definitely remember seeing that on social. So yeah. But again, if he and he didn't even record a stat, guys. Chris Washington, who was a big tight end / tackle, tight end turn tackle from Nashville, came here as a developmental guy who never developed. He didn't have the range to play here, and left. I'm not mad at the take with, a guy down towards the bottom of the class as a developmental tackle when you come in at 6'7", 270. But he didn't get to where he needed to be able to play. Dominic Mammarelli from Naples, the tight end, who was on the roster for a few years. He was more of a blocking tight end than anything else. Had a long touchdown his senior year because basically the Red Sea parted on a fake toss, fake dive, and he just split the middle of the defense. But he was never like a real athletic pass catcher along that route. His family are big Miami people, so that's why he committed. And then I thought he transferred somewhere else, but if he did, I don't know that he played all that much when he did.
This is an all-time stat line here, Cam. 1 career reception, -2.
Yeah. That's about the size of it. So might have, yeah, that's about it. So not really much to say. So, yeah. Daz Worsham had a hip injury after a record-setting career at Hewitt-Trussville. Bounced around, didn't really break through on the roster, and then transferred somewhere else. I don't know if he played even when he went somewhere else. But, yeah. Anyway, the quarterback in this class, Tyler Van Dyke, Suffield Academy in Suffield, Connecticut. Baseball player of the year, football player of the year. Was usurped for the backup quarterback role in 21 by Jake Garcia, who promptly broke his ankle in the game against Central Connecticut and then stepped in and was ACC Rookie of the Year in that year. Had that run of 300-yard passing games with multiple touchdowns. Rhett Lashley got everything out of him in 2021, man. I mean, just you look at the numbers there. That's what you want. That's what you need. That's what you love. In 22, battled injury and some inconsistency, and then 23 had his career high comp percentage, but also completed way more passes to players wearing other teams' jerseys. And even with completing 66% of his passes, he missed so many dudes, man. Like there were guys, it was so frustrating. And yeah, that unfortunately was the story of Tyler. He transferred out because his time was gone for sure, or done here in Miami. Went to Wisconsin, played a couple games, and then tore his ACL, and has now subsequently transferred to SMU, where Rhett Lashley is talking about getting him right for the next step next year. I don't know what that would be, whether that would be transferring somewhere else or whatnot, but yeah. And then this is the game log from 21 for Tyler Van Dyke. The North Carolina game, that was real. I mean, the Virginia game, that was tough. North Carolina, I mean, I'll always just see that last interception on the last drive, just up the seam, with the receiver not even looking, thrown right at the safety. But after that, 325. I mean, just torched. I mean, just on fire. Man,
Yeah.
like look at the rest of that season.
Look at those yardage totals.
Yeah, 325, 426, 389, 316, 357, 381, 433, 433. I mean, like, yeah, 20 touchdowns against 3 interceptions, and just like, just, I mean, man, he was on it. And after that, was never that dude ever again. So even though that wasn't the start of a meteoric rise for Tyler Van Dyke, for a 3-star from Connecticut, as the quarterback in the class and everything, that fine, you got to take recruiting number 1. I think that it was slightly above average return on investment, because you never thought, I mean, you thought maybe Tyler Van Dyke in year 3 or year 4 would challenge for potentially be the starting quarterback. You never thought that in year 2 he was going to be ACC Rookie of the Year as a redshirt freshman. That was on nobody's radar. So you got that. You got a couple other moments and things. It wasn't perfect, but I think that, yeah, we got more out of him than we thought we were going to. Keyshawn Washington, what's up, Kenson? Yes, you are late, but it's okay. Just hop on the YouTube, bro. You can see the replay, the other videos I've done. There was one that was up today. There's one that's going up tomorrow, and some other ones as well. So be sure you do that. Chris Bradford TVD was a 4-star composite. I believe maybe he was, especially after he was Connecticut Player of the Year. You might be right about that. Keyshawn Washington is from South Dade. Billed as a big safety and everything, but he never really amounted to be anything here at the University of Miami. The most notable thing about him were his fantastic dreads, which you can even see in the thumbnail right there. But yeah, he never was part of any conversation, really, even. Like, he struggled to even find his way onto special teams full-time. That about says it. Skipping to the very bottom, Corey Flagg, the linebacker, played an integral role, limited athletically, incredible instincts, made some plays here and there when used appropriately, most famously the game-winning tackle in overtime against Clemson when Cade Klubnik could have, maybe should have, given the dive, kept the ball. Corey Flagg scraped over the top. He's right there making that play. And this is a guy, who, in 4 years at Miami, played in 43 games, 179 tackles, 24 TFLs, 5.5 sacks. That's solid. It's not perfect, but like, that's a pretty good return for the guy listed at the bottom of your recruiting class. Like, I would say that you you did your big one with that one. He's not the biggest superstar in the world. He's not the biggest physical player. Ended up transferring out to Missouri because he was not going to play here in 24, and had a very good year at Missouri. A Missouri team that was top 10 for most of the year. 81 tackles, 5 TFLs, a sack, a pick that he took back 80 yards. Like,
considering the recruiting position, that's a great career.
That's a really great career for his recruiting position. Exactly. So, I would say that's one of the biggest recruiting wins in that class. And I did save the best recruiting win of the year for last. All-time career leading receiver in terms of receptions and yards from Deerfield Beach, where he transferred after leaving St. Thomas Aquinas because St. Thomas Aquinas does not afford the ability to enroll early because of the senior year religion credit. Number 7, Xavier Restrepo. This is a kid who always wanted to be a Hurricane. This is a kid who came in and did any and everything. He played on specials. He played receiver. I felt at times that we were trying to force feed him the ball too much. Tyler Van Dyke famously was roommates with Restrepo early on in their time in college. And, I even said that and everything. But looking back, God darn, we should have fed him the ball more. I mean, I don't know that there is, in any of the classes that we reviewed in these last 30 weeks, there has not been as big a recruiting win as Xavier Restrepo to the University of Miami. Again, career all-time leader in receptions and yards at the University of Miami. From a 3-star, 5'8.5", 5'9", stocky wide receiver. If that's not a recruiting win and getting this, rewriting the record book, you know what I mean? If that's not a recruiting win, I don't know what is. So, I wanted to leave that to last because, and he was the consummate Hurricane, consummate teammate, did any and everything. He had the lead block on the Brashard Smith kickoff return touchdown. He's, hustling after guys on interceptions. He's a willing blocker on, screens and in the run game, and just in the community, has a foundation of his own now, is in Iron Arrow, which is the highest honor you can achieve at the University of Miami. I believe Jalen Rivers has also been inducted into Iron Arrow. Yes, I'm still salty. I'm not an Iron Arrow, but hey, whatever. But he is, and that's a credit to him. Scholarship, leadership, and sportsmanship. I cannot say enough positive things about Xavier Restrepo as a person, as a player, and in terms of the return on investment in recruiting as we're reevaluating these classes from previous years. This is the number one of all of them that we've done so far. And far and away from this class, the best career of any of those players.
You're a recruiting guy. The stars, the rankings in total, in mass, mean a lot. But here is a class where by far and away, it's not even debatable. Nobody could even argue. The best player by far is the 22nd out of 23rd. And then on top of that, the next 2 guys are almost indisputable in some order, Corey Flagg and Tyler Van Dyke. And they're in the bottom.
And Jalen Rivers. I would put him in the conversation.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jalen Rivers.
But I mean, outside of that,
3 or 4.
Right. Yeah. So 3 of your top 4 are like bottom third of this recruiting class, which great on them, but also highlights the failings from recruitment and development from, when we've gotten some of these dudes that teams want. Like, Don Chaney Jr., teams wanted him. Chance Williams, Jalen Knighton, like there are a lot of dudes. Elijah Roberts, and I know that he battled injury and did well elsewhere, but not getting as many like stars and superstars as you really need from a recruiting class. So I forget, it was in the chat. Somebody was like, "Oh my God, this class was atrocious." As we're running down, I'm like, in hindsight, their performance in college left a lot to be desired. But it was a fun walk down memory lane. I appreciate you guys sticking over a little extra to do that, with me and Mark here. And we're just going to leave it there. So stateoftheu.com, that's the website. Got plenty of stuff going up. Got things this week, even our Welcome to the U for Ben CONGDON. I'm trying to get back to writing those for all of the commits. So we'll see how committed I am to that. Justin DeTavio has another interesting piece coming up tomorrow. So you should stay tuned for that and more. And, if you're here listening to the sound of my voice or watching, be sure that you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, because doing even more content on this here channel, and whether I see you virtually or in person, appreciate you watching. It's been fun.
And folks, we do appreciate the kind words and the compliments, but take that extra step, share this on social media, just go out there and grab some folks that you know that love college football, Miami in particular, of course, and we will see you next week.
And I will say, the video on this channel that drops tomorrow, that's a tease. I know y'all are going to want to share that one and hop all up in the comments. So do that, because it's been an ongoing conversation on social media. And I figured, as I tell all my friends to create their content, I'm going to create my own. And I did. And I'm very interested for y'all to see that and then let me know what y'all think. So that's a tease for the YouTube channel, a tease for the website, and hopefully a lot of great content that brings you back here next Wednesday night.